Hey friend, are you asking yourself, is this what I really want to be doing with my life? I don't think so. I think there's something else that I'm meant to be doing. Welcome to the Painting Your Path podcast, where we have real conversations about what it takes to step out, be bold, and do you. I'm your host, Clarissa Castillo-Ramsey. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Clarissa Castillo-Ramsey. And from time to time, I like to share with you interviews that I have been on other people's podcasts. And today, I'm sharing an interview that I did with my friend and fellow coach and artist, Sally J. Fox, on her podcast, Vital Presence, Embrace Your Muse. We talk about art, leadership. I share about my vocal journey. So if you're new to my podcast, then you'll get to hear a little bit about that. And we talk about creative expression and the soul deep practice of painting your path, one intentional choice at a time. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and without further ado, here's my interview on Sally's podcast.
Welcome to Vital Presence. I'm Sally Fox, the author of Meeting the Muse After Midlife, a journey to meaning, creativity, and joy. And I'm all about living creatively at any age, but especially as we age, and especially in today's crazy world. I have some great guests lined up for this 2024 season, folks who are shaping the stories that are shaping today's world. So have a listen and then come on over to vitalpresence.com and share your thoughts with me. I am so excited today to interview a new friend, Clarissa Castillo-Ramsey, who shares my love of bringing artfulness together with leadership and helping people grow. Clarissa is an award-winning transformational coach, an organizational psychologist, author, abstract artist, and podcaster. I am in the delightful position of seeing her art right behind her head, so I get to see it. Unfortunately, on audio, you don't. But she also has a top-rated podcast, Painting Your Path, which is for midlifers who are wanting to start living life on their own terms. Clarissa is also a trained organizational psychologist with a doctorate from the California School of Professional Psychology, and she has consulted with hundreds of leaders and teams. Clarissa, thank you so much for making time for me. I know that we share so many common interests, and I look forward to talking to you.
I'm so excited to be here, Sally. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. And I want to start in a kind of unusual way because I know that when I first heard your voice, I wondered, ooh, what happened to her? Am I making her talk even though she has laryngitis? But your voice these days comes with a bit more of a story that in a certain way could be useful to those of us who live as artist leaders. So tell me yours. What's going on with your voice?
Yes, thanks for asking, Sally. So last year in 2023, I just noticed after I got sick, my voice just started to fade. And I'm one of those people who likes to try and just figure it out before going to the doctor. Even though I'm a product of two medical doctors, I
Oh,
don't like
wow.
going to the doctor. I just don't. But long story longer, I did go to a doctor and I got diagnosed with spasmodic dysphonia. And I asked the doctor, actually, there were two of them, what is causing this? And they really didn't have an answer for me, except that it's tied to certain tasks. And I said, well, is that task talking? Because I do a lot of it. And I said, is this stress related? Is this, like, how is this happening?
and they didn't want to point it to stress, probably not to stress me out even further. But, I think it was also brought about by stress. And on this path to stepping into who we truly are, there's a lot that we get to let go and a lot that we work through. And so I am certain that this condition was also brought about by stress, and it forced me to ask myself, okay, what am I not addressing? What am I literally not saying? And last year was really a point where I just felt like my business I wasn't quite excited with it as I was, a couple years prior. And so I think that this vocal condition really has taught me to to take a step back and tune in to what really matters, what really feels good, and not continue to um, live and just try and what am I trying to say here? Just be perfect, because perfectionism is something that had to deal with for a long time, and just wanting to be that good girl, all that muck, I think is, coming up as I'm transitioning into a different phase of my business.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And it also suggests to me that as coaches, we often have to go through the life lessons that we're going to be sharing with our clients. And sometimes the painful ones are the ones that are the most educational because we've really lived it and we've really worked our way through it. And I know
Yes.
you've been coaching midlife women for a while, and a lot of them are just at that point of asking, is it worth it? Or why am I going through this? Or why am I working like this? And I know your own process started a few years ago, so you were well along in the journey when the condition came on. But that also is interesting because it sometimes in sort of the Hollywood story version of our lives, you confront the reality of your life and you decide I have to make a change and you go through ups and downs and then two-thirds of the way through you make the change and everybody applauds and whatever and then you go on to do whatever. However, in life, we make the change and we take a step or 2 or 3, and then we're confronted again. And we may have to go
Yes.
back and make the same change. And I know for myself, and I think we share this, the addictions that many of us as career professional women have to being good, to doing it right, and to achieving is really embedded in our systems. And it's not just a one-time, you know,
Right.
wash it through and it's gone.
Yes, it keeps coming back. And I think, as coaches, I feel like we're the type of people that always wants to grow and flourish and develop. And, that requires making changes and letting go of, our old self. And, and to your point about just wanting to get things right and wanting quick results and being a high achiever. I think all of that has played into like what is happening with my voice. And I'm happy to share that, I can truly say I don't feel the way that I did last year, because last year was a dark year and work for most of the year. And I'm feeling a renewed sense of energy um, with the things that I'm doing in 2024.
And that can give people, and I hope it will give, listeners inspiration because we do go through those dark times when we wonder, am, how am I getting through this? And I don't like this, and I feel really depressed, or, whatever the song is that's playing, and they're real things that we have to confront that are difficult. So I like seeing people like you who have gone through them, who have weathered the storm and haven't gone down. not like you're glossing over or pretending like last year was easy and you just sailed through, but it's so much more interesting for me to hear it was hard. I mean, after all, you're a coach and you teach people how to present. You know,
Right.
your voice
Yes.
is your trade, and here it's taken away from you, and yet somehow you managed to find a way through. Yeah. What do you
Yes.
think was the strongest mm, skill or part of you or value that you pulled on when it was exceptionally difficult?
I leaned into self-care, which is foundational for everything that I teach. And I literally had to just like surrender to this and stop pushing against it. I'm also a Taurus, so I am very bullheaded and stubborn. But I think, just finally surrendering and just saying, okay, I'm going to focus on me and let go of the worry and the doubt of, oh my God, where's the money gonna come in? Because the good thing is, I also teach my clients, look, if you're going to leave your day job, your cushy day job, to start this unknown adventure, plan for it. And so that also helped me out tremendously, having that planning in place and having that safeguard so that I could truly just say, okay, let me just focus on me and really tune into, okay, what is it that I want to share with the world? What's next? What's the
Mhm.
next iteration?
Yeah, well, bravo, because I know as coaches, it's easy to say you should take care of
Right.
yourself, and we must practice self-care, and it is foundational. But the dirty secret is that behind the closet, sometimes we don't do as good a job as we would
Yep.
want our clients to do, and to be real about that and say, now the rubber's hit the road, and I need to do what I've been preaching to others big time. Yeah,
Yes,
and
100%.
and that too with I love that you tell your clients to have money set aside before they go cold turkey on their jobs, because painting the path, as I think you speak about it, isn't about wishful thinking or just manifesting your dream unconnected to current reality. It is the dream, but it also is strategic, and you have to ground it in reality if you want to weather the storm. And there probably will be storms, unless you're
Yes.
really unusual.
Right. And I think, social media likes to highlight, oh, it's so easy. You
Yeah,
can, in 3 months, you can make six figures. And, while that could be true for very few, for many of us, I would dare say most of us, it's not quite that easy.
it's not
It
that
takes,
easy. Yeah, and
right.
you also don't know, because sometimes these social media stars will come out maybe year or two later and say, I was going really great, but then I lost my marriage, or I didn't see my kids.
Yep.
All you hear about it is the high six figures that they suddenly manifest in 9 months or whatever crazy thing. You don't really get the full story, and social media rarely tells us the full story. And so it's um it's it's not a very nutritious meal, you know.
Right. Yes. And
Y-
that is exactly why I wanted to come out and really openly talk about what's happening right now.
I am so glad you did. Now, you wrote a really cool book based on the interviews with 21 extraordinary women. And I love that you went out and interviewed women who had really interesting, diverse lives who could be role models or at least inspiration. Did they go through hard times?
Yes. They all did. And it was like one story that comes to mind is of a lady who went to um, law school because she just thought, well, I got to do something. So I think this is what it's going to be. And she hated it. And she stuck with it. And then at one dinner with a bunch of other people who were super excited to get into this particular program, they were just so happy. And she was like, what the hell am I doing here? And she decided, I can't do this. And she opened up a dog grooming business because she loves dogs. And she's like, oh my God, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Do you think that most of the creatives that you know have had to go through some kind of challenge like that along the way?
I think so. Most people I know, not everybody, but most creatives I know were not encouraged to be creative. It wasn't seen as practical or something that you could make good money doing. So a lot of us, myself included, my mom told me, oh, you need to find another profession because you're not going to make money until you pass away.
Mm.
Then your heirs will be rich, but you'll be gone. So I have found that to be true for a lot of my creative counterparts.
Yeah, how many millions of people out there might have heard the whole adage, "You can't make money doing art, go get yourself a day job, and then maybe if there'll be." And then I know I had a cousin-in-law who was a writer, and he was working on the novel, but he decided, he was working in a warehouse writing a novel, fell in love with my cousin, they were happy. He decided he better get to law school so he'd make the money so that
Right.
then he could write the books. But law school and then getting into a firm and racing towards partner sapped the life out of him, and I don't think he ever
Yes.
wrote the book. I don't think he ever
Oh,
wrote the book, and he lost his marriage, and, I go, "I know why you wanna earn more than you would at working in the back room of a distribution center or something, but you sold your soul."
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What does it mean to be mm, what does painting your path mean to you?
To me, it means just starting the day fresh. And before you rush into the day, taking time to ask yourself what would feel good. What can I put on this canvas of life? What kind of experience can I have today? And it doesn't have to be something so profound and life altering. It could just be, you know what? Today, I feel like taking a walk in the woods. Today, I feel like taking myself out on an artist date. If you've read The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And to me, it means tuning in and finding what feels good and doing that
Mhm,
and just remembering what lights us up and
mhm,
to know that every brushstroke, every path that we take, every step that we take is just going to, if you can look at it as an adventure, that's what really life is all about.
I
So to
love
me,
that.
that's what
Mhm.
painting your path is.
I love that. So the path isn't so much if I do this, 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 then I'll get to this, and then I'll fill in the blanks. But I
Right.
love that sense that you wake up every day with a fresh canvas and you look at your brushes and you say, what's possible? And where am I going to what will light me up and where will I find joy today? Even if it's only in a small portion, you're still asking the question and you are the artist of your days. That
Yes.
is so I love that. I
Yes.
love that. That's to me, that's more inspiring than, if you do this, 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 and this, then you'll get to this,
Right.
that thing.
And
Do
I
you
feel like that's how I, let a lot of my life go to get good grades, go to a good school, get a good job. Then you'll be happy. No. What makes me happy now?
Yeah, what makes you happy now? And I think some of us have seen the writing on that one because I'm old enough where I'm losing friends, and I
Yes.
feel like our time here is so precious. And so the idea that you would not fill your soul and that you would do something, unless, there's circumstances always, but that you would constrain yourself and constrict yourself and live a miserable life when you had choices for
Yes.
someday. uh, It's just someday is now. Mm, yeah.
100%.
Do you think the artists that you've known and work with, do they get this more easily, or are they also having to challenge themselves to look at the small steps on their path every day?
I With the people that I've worked with, it can be challenging
Mm,
because so many of them want to leave a job that they're not super inspired by to start their own thing. And I'll include myself too, like you can just get so focused on that end goal
mhm,
of, I want to sell X amount of paintings, make this amount of money, do this, do that, that you just lose sight of the progress that you have already even made. And so, what I like to share with my clients is okay, it's great to set that goal. And let's focus on what could you do today to help get you closer? Because with every single day, every single small step counts because those tiny steps make big steps. And if you can look at your day, and I get it, some days it's tougher than others, but if you could just ask every day, huh, okay, what could I do that would be fun? What could I research? Who could I possibly connect with and strike up a conversation with? And not have some kind of outcome at the end, but just start with that curiosity. It's amazing what can happen.
mm.
And I've
So
seen it with my clients.
that then applies both to your clients who are still working in management or corporate careers and to the professional artists that you may have worked with, because they too
Yes.
have their struggles with having to produce, having to be good, getting out ahead of themselves and forgetting to notice the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so true.
What do you think? I really love this combo that you have of, you've got the background in organizational psychology, and you've had years of consulting and coaching others, but you're also an artist. You've been an artist all your life, and you've really claimed that in the recent past. What do you what is the world of art and artfulness, or working artfully, however you want to say it? What does that have to say to leaders?
I think, especially since post pandemic, and I really do feel like people, I'm hoping, are waking up to that time is limited, kind of like what we talked about a little earlier. And what I think leaders could really get from artists is to not be so rigid. I'm just going to say it. And because I was that way, and I felt like, even though I'm an artist, when I was in corporate, I felt like I had to be a certain way. And I would um, subdue just my viewpoints. And because I felt like, oh my gosh, like I don't see things the same way as all of these business leaders do. And I would just say, to broaden your perspective. And I think if leaders could really also just allow themselves to be more human and let their personalities come into play, and really, like, how could they use their like mom skills in leadership? If you're an artist, how can you use your different perspective and bring that to the table at work? Your creativity. I think one thing I was really good at in corporate was I literally brought art into into the workspace, and I did say, "You know what? We're gonna do some kind of creative break. You're either gonna love this or you're gonna hate it, but either way, that's great because you're expanding the way you see things by doing something creative and different."
I love that. You're gutsy. That's good. I can just imagine the looks on some of the people that I've consulted with who would be like, okay, now we're going to do arts and crafts. You're already kind of weird, but now it's confirmed. But
Exactly.
on the other hand, if you think about the board meetings, we probably both went in where it just feels like everything has been painted in gray. And
Yes.
maybe you have a brown table, the rest of the faces are gray, the clothes are gray, everything is gray. And people are already feeling like they have to march they as quickly as possible into a single direct line. And
Yes.
and at the same time, we know that the American economy needs folks who are creating solutions to both corporate and social problems and stuff. And so as you were talking, I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if you just encouraged lots of colors? We want to stock
Yes.
this room with lots of colors and different kinds of brushes and lots of experiments, and we're going to play with it, and then we will learn what we like. And then we'll make some choices and we'll go on from there. We don't just leave it up in the air. We clean our brushes afterwards, but we get to experiment in that kind of colorful, intuitive, opening way before we drill down to the one line we want everybody to follow. It would be like people would want to go
Yes.
to work?
Yes, that would be so exciting. Imagine starting your meetings with some kind of fun icebreaker like that. And I know there are a lot of companies who do it, but I think there could be more.
There could be more. Yeah,
Yeah.
a friend of mine who was trained as an expressive arts mm, coach, facilitator, certified somehow. That was her beat, and she was also a registered nurse. So she
How
felt
cool.
deeply about what was happening to the staff in medical organizations, both docs and nurses and aides and all. And so she kept bringing these creative projects in, and she'd have a cart that she wheeled into the lobby and just encouraged people just to get their hands on
Oh, that's
artistic substances.
wonderful.
It was really, really inspired because it's interesting that some of our healers are the ones who need the most healing, or they
Yeah,
need the most of what art can bring. And
absolutely.
you've also experienced the healing power of art. Can you speak to that a little?
Yes. Thanks for asking, Sally. So for me, I have many self-care tools, but the one that rises to the top is art and it's painting. And so for me, art is more about just is self-soothing. And, I don't focus on selling my work, although all of my paintings are for sale, but it really is just my time to get out of my head and just get into my hands
Mm.
and just have so much fun. And I'm leaning over because I decided to take an art class and I'm showing Sally
Oh, the
my
colors. I have to tell you,
paintings.
she has the most brilliant magentas mixed with some green in ways that are perfect, but I would never have thought about that, mixed with mark making and all sorts of cool stuff. Oh, cool.
Yes,
It's
and I
beautiful.
thank you. And I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna take this art class, even though I'm knee deep in planning for the year. But for me, I did want to improve my skills, but it's just also kind of in a way forces me to get back to a consistent creative practice. And that really does help soothe me and just make me grounded.
Oh, it's wonderful. And you probably had the experience as well. Uh, when I'm doing process focused art, just playing, and I did some work with the Awakening Arts Academy in Italy that was really great. I would think, oh, what am I doing? I've got book to edit, and I'm going to spend 4 hours in this art workshop, and we're just going to do whatever. And I would always come out of the workshop feeling like, oh, I'm back. Now I can
Yes.
edit. Now I can
Right.
actually go back and do the work that I'd wanted to do, but I'll be so much better at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing what happens after a creative session.
Yeah. So what's next on your docket? Because you've gone through the little dark night, the long dark night, and
Yes.
used those learnings to really clarify what you wanted. Do you have a new sense of direction, or is it continuation of what you've been doing with your
Yeah.
coaching?
I do, Sally. I declared this year, 2024, at the time of this recording, my year of experimentation. And so I'm super excited to be doing retreats. Right now, they're women's retreats, and I have my first one coming up with a friend, and at the end of March, and I'm going to do a summer solstice women's retreat with my friend, another friend in Colorado. So, when I think about my strengths and what I bring to the world, so much feedback I've gotten from my 30 years of being in corporate is that, you know what, Clarissa, you really bring a calming presence. You do bring a soothing presence. And for whatever reason, I feel like I was fighting that. I felt like I had to be this person, whatever that is. And I'm really embracing just slowing it down and just being creating a space for women to tap into their creativity, to tap into their inner intuition and inner selves so that they can bloom boldly and move forward. So that is something I'm super excited about
I can
this year.
totally get that. I can totally get that because just in the times that we've had talking, and it's only been, I think this is our third conversation, I feel good. I feel that presence that you have. And I tell you, especially at this stage of life, I'm not interested in somebody with a big push and a lot of jagged edges. I think
Yes.
somebody who makes you feel good to be you and supports
Yes.
you on your path and is competent and knows how to take planning and do the next thing. I mean, that's just like such a winning combo because I'm done with people who are gonna push you over the edge and be jagged and abrasive in the meantime.
Yes. Oh my gosh, me too.
And
Me
we
too.
probably both known some of those, some of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
you have such great gifts to offer. And you actually have a real gift to that you said you would share with listeners. So do you want to tell us about that?
Oh, sure. So if anybody here is asking themselves, what is next for me? I'm not sure. I have a free guide. It's my Painting Your Path guide that you can download. And it is full of journal prompts. It is full of just different exercises that you can do to help yourself figure out what could be next. So that's my gift.
And I encourage everyone come over to thevitalpresence.com website because that's where the podcast will show notes will be, and that's where you can find the exact link so you don't have to worry about it. And I can recommend it because I downloaded it this morning, and not only is it got good information, but it's also artistic. It also is fun to read. It's kind of uplifting. So I highly recommend it. And also you'll gain a taste of Clarissa's method. So I think it's powerful on many counts. Yeah. Well, thank you for taking time with me. And once again, how do people find you? This will be in the show notes, but I just wanted to speak it here.
Oh, thank you, Sally. So people can also tune into my podcast, Painting Your Path. That's a great way to hear more of what I do. And if you're on Instagram, I'm on there a lot. And my handle is Dr. Clarissa Castillo Ramsey.
Great. So Instagram, the great podcast you do, the Painting Your Path podcast. I would have stolen that title, but it was already taken by Clarissa. So I was like, I have to meet this woman. And then, and your website, and
Yes.
all that information will be in the show notes. Well, thank you so much for your time. And I just can't wait to find out what the next 6 months bring, because I feel like the combo that you're bringing is so engaging for me, that helping to support people, but doing it from this place that also includes art and creativity and imagination. I think it's just like a completely winning combo.
Thank you so much, Sally, for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. If you like the show, I hope you'll subscribe on iTunes. And then come on over to vitalpresence.com, where you can learn more about the show and also join our conversation about what it is to thrive and create at any age. Thank you so much for staying till the very end. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend. If you haven't had a chance yet, please write a review and rate the show. I would love to hear your feedback. And I also have a free resource guide for anybody who is asking themselves, am I on the right path for myself now? Or is there something else that I really want to do? Maybe you're in that quandary. Maybe you're wondering what's next. So head over to the show notes and you'll see my Painting Your Path framework guide. Download it and have some fun. Just start exploring. And thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next week.